Okay, I wanted to do a video today about Florida and the real estate market in light of the last two hurricanes and then of course Tropical Debbie. Just as a reminder, Tropical Debbie came in sometime in August and it wasn't supposed to do a lot of damage, but it rained for many days in Florida. And so some areas that were in a flood zone X, which is our preferred flood zone, got flooded. Helene, which actually went into the Big Bend area over in the Panhandle, did bring a lot of damage to the southwest side of Florida in the form of flooding. A lot of homes got flooded, for example, on Siesta Key, Longboat Key, Anna Maria Island, which wasn't forecasted to happen, but it did. Then Milton came in, and Milton caused a lot of damage yet again. I get a lot of questions from my customers in terms of real estate prices. And yeah, we don't really know what's going to happen to prices, especially in areas that were much harder hit. But if we go back in history, because hurricanes aren't any new to Florida, right? I mean, we've had hurricanes what seems like forever. Prices always come back. It may take some time, but they recover, and it's not scaring people away. People are still wanting to move here. They've been wanting to move here after Hurricane Irma, for example, or Ian, or prior to that 20 years ago, there was Hurricane Andrew that actually wiped out an entire city. And that city is Punta Gorda. When Punta Gorda was wiped out, from everything I'm reading and people I've talked to that are actually from the area, they said that, you know what? Yes, it was dramatic. It's really sad to lose everything you've known, but they actually rebuild things, especially downtown, much better, much stronger. And so the downtown area in Punta Gorda, for example, became revived. And that wasn't the case prior to Hurricane Andrew. And real estate prices just went up from there because the quality of the homes were just so much better than prior to Andrew hitting. So right now, the expectation is that prices may hurt in the short term. And all of this is going to come back down to supply and demand. It always does. But on the Keys, for example, Siesta Key, a lot of the homes were flooded. So the question really is, from those homes that got flooded, how many of them will be fixed up without having to go to code, and how many of them will have to be fixed up to code? And it goes back to the FEMA 50% rule. I don't really think we know. If I were to guess, I would say the majority of these homes are going to get repaired, but they're not going to be brought up to code because it's going to be too expensive. If that's the case, and these homes get resold, let's just say a portion of these homes get resold, it is very likely that the fair value of this house is going to be less than prior to the hurricane. In that case, a lot of these homes who are now undergoing repair work will hit the market in a few months, probably in 2025, beginning of 2025. We have an average of supply, and let's just say demand stays the same. It's very likely the prices are going to be lower than where they would have been if the hurricanes never even hit the area. Now, of a lot of these homes, let's just say the majority of the homes on Siesta Key, which I find less likely, are getting demolished and they're getting rebuilt to the latest Florida code, which is a very strict code. Homes have to be built in order to really withstand flooding, hurricane wind. If that's the case, then it's also very likely that these same homes who are now rebuilt, much better, much stronger, that they're going to be able to get a higher price for them versus prior to the hurricane. So I've been looking to see what the damage was on the Keys, Siesta Key, Anna Maria Island, Lido Key, and there's not much information in terms of the amount of damage, though because I've gone there a few times, I would say absolutely 50% of the homes got flooded. First floor condos, most of them got flooded. The question really is, what was the damage done to these homes? How bad was it? And do they now have to get demolished? Or is it a matter of just fixing it back up to where things were prior to the hurricane? If that's the case, again, it's likely once these homes hit the market that the price tag is going to be much less. So in the short term, prices will likely go down because of an average of supply. In the mid to long term, I believe things are going to equalize. Now, if you're somebody that's still looking to buy in Florida, you don't want to be by the coast, but maybe you're somebody that's always wanted to be in Sarasota. Now you're just worried about another hurricane hitting the area. Well, another hurricane will hit the area. The question is when? We don't know, but it is really just a matter of time. So What I would say is just become really cognizant about the flood zone. Flood zone X still being preferred, doesn't mean it can't flood, but it's preferred, less chances of flooding. You would want to make sure that you're in a community where the lake systems, the drainage systems are working, and maybe one of the first steps you take is to ask, how did this community do when Tropical Storm Debbie came through? Did the streets flood? Did any of these homes flood? That should give you a better idea of how well a community is able to handle just a lot of rain. Doesn't mean that the community will be safe from future flooding, but there's going to be value with the learnings here. Also, elevation is going to be really important. The majority of the damages that typically happen during a hurricane isn't wind damage, it's flooding. And also the majority of the deaths that typically happen is due to flooding. If you're in a place where the elevation is far lower, say it's just 4 feet or 3 feet, and now we have a surge coming in because of a hurricane that's 5 feet, and you're really close to the coast, yeah, chances are your home is going to get flooded. So look for areas, look for homes that are at a higher elevation. And then you would want to look at the distance from the coast. Of course, further away you're from the coast, the less likely it is that flood waters will hit you. To safeguard your house, to safeguard yourself and your home from hurricane winds, because that's the other aspect of damage occurring during a hurricane, is looking for a home that's built to the latest code. And this is where I'm a big fan of new construction. New construction homes are built, of course, to the latest code, which, by the way, do change periodically. But you know you're going to get either impact resistant windows and sliders, or you're going to get shutters for them. You will have a roofing system that's just much better at withstanding high velocity winds. And there's just a level of comfort that comes with newer construction homes, knowing again that it's being built to a really, really tough and stringent code. So there's ways of safeguarding your property, there's ways of keeping you safe, while also living in an area that has been a dream for a lot of people. Warm weather year-round, palm trees, no state income taxes. So the major draw that's bringing people to Florida, I don't think is going to go away. People are just going to become much more cognizant about where they're going to be purchasing in their home. So having said how risk can be mitigated, I do believe that within Florida we're going to see a remigration happening, especially those people who were affected by the Keys. A lot of them will sell their homes, their condos, and many of them may leave the state. Some of them will stay here, and so they'll move somewhere more inland. I actually think when it comes to the supply inland in Sarasota, for example, those people that are on the Keys right now are going to put some pressure on that supply, first off with rentals, because it's going to take some time to fix up their home. And once they sell their home, it's very likely they're going to rebuy in Sarasota, but further away from the coast. Now, I do think that coastal living is always going to be interesting to people. People love being close to the coast. So it's also likely that it will appeal to a different type of demographics moving forward. Investors still, because hey, they're looking for an investment property. People love vacationing right by the beach. That allure is never going to go away. And then wealthier people who can afford possibly having to deal with the damages of a hurricane. So I pulled the latest data for the real estate market here in Florida. The expectation for next year is that prices will go up some, not much in Florida. Maybe it'll just stay where it is now year over year. As of September, and this is for single family homes, the median price came in at $410,000, which is a 0.2% increase. I was actually surprised by that. I actually talked about this in one of my other videos, and that is the condo townhouse market is now down by minus 3.4% versus the same time last year, and this is again for September 2024, and it's now at $314,000 median price. The reason why the prices on the condo sections are going down, a lot of it has to do with the Surfside bill, which is applicable for older condos reaching the age of 30 years old. I'm having to do a milestone inspection and getting the reserves up to ensuring that major fixes can be done to the condo. A lot of these older condos will not have the budget in their reserves to make any updates, required updates, because of the milestone inspection report. And so this is where major assessments are going to have to get passed for condo owners, as well as condo fees going up on a monthly basis. I've heard assessments coming in at $50,000, $100,000, and so that knowledge base with potential buyers is making potential buyers obviously pretty weary about what they're purchasing, but also it's pushing down the prices of condos, and that's why we're now seeing the negative numbers coming in versus same time last year, and it's just going to get worse before it gets better. I think the condo market is going to take a few years to play out, because even if a condo is not 30 years old, let's say it's 27 years old, it now has to build up the budget so that once the milestone inspection is at hand, that there's enough money for potential updates that need to happen. And so a lot of these condos, if they're smart, even if they're 25 years old, are now starting to increase the condo fees and possibly even the assessments coming in, so that the blow later at 30 years isn't going to be as hard as if they had done nothing. By the way, I'm in downtown St. Augustine. I figured I would do this video today outside. It's not been my style. Maybe I'll do more of it. I don't know. It's definitely been nice though, walking outside, and I got to see a lot of these beautiful older homes. Very charming. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or call me. Take care.